Okay, welcome everyone. Hello, I'm Veronica Chase, and you're here for the BG5 Business Institute session on what makes you tick. And this session is going to be all about how to unlock your career type and align with your natural success. So let me jump right in. Now, first of all, if you don't have your free career design chart, you can go right to the BG5 Business Institute website and go right under the area of reports and download your free career design chart. So, of course, you need to know your full birth date, including time and the location where you were born, so that we can get an accurate picture of your design. So be sure to go in and get that if you haven't already. And if you do already know your design, I'd love for you to go ahead and share that with me in chat. And I'll be asking a bit more of that as we're going along. So again, I'm Veronica Blackwell Chase. I'm a 4-6 classic builder with a follow your gut strategy. My life work theme is consciousness. I had my first session with a BG5 consultant back in late 2019, and it was truly a life-changing, eye-opening experience for me. You know why? Because everything he was telling me just resonated so deeply, and it was all just so true. And I thought, how is this possible? How can he tell me about all of these things? And that led me to start my official studies with the Institute in 2020. And I went on to study numerous things there. I'm now in my 6th year of my human design experiment. I'm a career and business consultant. I'm a cycles consultant. I'm a profit potential coach. And now I'm also, over this last year, an instructor for the Institute. So my next session in Foundations is coming up starting on September 6th. I run my classes on Saturday mornings. I live on the East Coast in the United States, so running from Eastern Standard Time. And in all of our Foundations classes, each semester is 10 classes long and typically about 2 hours per session. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. In terms of my background, I, at this point, have like 30 plus years of global experience as an HR leader. I'm a learning and development expert. I facilitate and have facilitated many, many workshops and leadership and management training sessions, and I'm an active coach and work with a lot of people in their career transitions and career changes. I have multiple formal degrees, including a master's in workplace learning and technology. So I've always had this interest in figuring out how to quickly change my behavior to get the results that I want. So personal and professional development and transformation have always been a big part of my life and career. I've spent a lot of money over the years. I have a lot of certifications, and it's just really, I would say, primarily because of the type of work I do. I mean, I have at this point coached, many, many thousands of people over the years of my career. I'm just always interested in tapping into my inner wisdom and aligning with my highest potential. That is what draws me in. So I have all of these different certifications, and I've used many, many different assessment tools over the years in my work in business environments. But back in 2020, when I discovered 2019 when I discovered BG5, but then started my studies in 2020, it just took me down a whole other path because now I had just a completely different way of working with people in in a much deeper way with me knowing their design. Now I could give them many more relevant insights to really help them understand how they're here to shine in the world. And that is certainly motivating for me in my work to be able to help someone at that level. Now, what I'm doing here with you first, excuse me, is I'm sharing the energy of the day. In all of my classes, I always start with the energy of the day because I'm really wanting to take you through an experience in your journey of learning, which is what I've gone through, and really just discovering different aspects of this knowledge and information. So today, the sun is now transiting in the 29 in BG5 language. We call that the core essence. So the 29 is right here attached to the energy resource. And this is perseverance, the gate of perseverance. We call it the deep within the deep. In human design language, it's called the abyss or the abysmal, right? This whole idea of going really, really deep into something. So what you might notice today is you might find today and over these coming days that you might be really eager for new experiences. And the 29 is also about saying yes. So you just want to be mindful of that. Saying yes can be absolutely wonderful when we're saying yes because it's the right thing for us. And that is really at the core of BG5 and human design for business, right? I have got to understand and really experience in my body what a correct yes is for me. And that is the power of this. Like when you really start living and working from that place, I have found I feel unstoppable, because I'm just more in line with who I am and what I want to do. And I'm not saying yes because I'm trying to please other people or get other people to love me, to like me, to whatever might be going on in our minds, right? That's all just the collective conditioning that's out there. We're all susceptible to it. The transits also definitely affect us. So for this week, again, be sure that you're saying yes to the right things. Now, the 29 is grounded in the 30. The 30 is down here connected to the emotional intelligence function. And this is really going to be about emotional desire. Now, when I say that, I mean intense desire, right? Like when we desire something, we want it really, really badly. We can taste it. That's how bad we want it. That kind of desire, intense desire. And the 4130 is active. So this is the strength of imagination. So this whole thing of like, experiences, saying yes to experiences. And for those of you that have the 46, you're going to get an electric magnetic connection here with the 46, which the 46, which I have 3 times in my design, is the love of the body. And it's this determination. And I often just think of it as serendipity, this being in the right place at the right time. It is, of course, often more than that, right? It is about saying yes to the things that are correct for me. And in that sense, I am in the right place at the right time, which is super exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what shows up this week. But again, for you, be mindful of what you're saying yes to. We're also in a first line day. So when we're in a first line day, and this again are all kinds of things that we cover in the foundations class, but today you might feel investigative. You might feel self-absorbed, like you just want to do your own thing. You might feel creative. There can be even a sense of insecurity when we're studying or checking out something or investigating something for the first time, or maybe it's not even the first time, we're just doing it. The insecurity is really about just you want to know more, you want to go deeper. And it's sort of like, everybody leave me alone, right? While I go deeper into my process. But it's a great day for starting things. So I think it's awesome that you're here at this webinar because you're going to feel independent and introspective and just wanting to explore. So the 1 is the base. It's the foundation. We don't see it, but we build everything else upon that foundation. So it is essential to our experience. All right, so are you ready to thrive in your life and career? When we really tap into the personal power of our designs, there's just so many wonderful things that come of it. And that's what I was saying to you earlier, right? Things that I've noticed now over these last 6 years that have happened for me, the thriving in my life and career. Why? Because I'm just more tapped into which direction is the right direction for me. And I'm not doing it from my mind, which we have all been trained to do, right? Well, let me think about it. what are the pros and cons, and all of that. It's all good intention in terms of how other people think they're helping us, but the only one who can help you is you. And I think that is what is most powerful about this. When you really tap into what is correct for you. The other thing that I've really noticed is that when I am doing things that are correct for me, everyone else around me benefits, whether it's my family or people that I work with or people out there in the world, right? When I'm moving forward in a way that's correct for me, everyone benefits from that positive energy that I'm able ultimately to give off, not because I'm trying, just because it is, because I'm moving in the right direction for myself. Now, when we're not moving in the right direction for ourselves, and believe me, I've been here, I've definitely been here. I've had a lot of really intense positions in big global corporate environments. And when I look back and think about how I kind of grew into those different roles, I mean, certainly there were many times where it was the right thing and I was growing and it was a positive experience. And there were other times where I could totally see how me pushing to get to that thing, which is a notorious thing that builders in particular can do, right? We push to make the thing happen. Well, we can make it happen. And I did that many times. But what I would then discover was the thing I pushed for was not the right thing for me. And the biggest problem with that, of pushing and then getting things that are incorrect for us, is this: we end up stressed out, exhausted, unhappy, depressed, burnt out. These are not good feelings, right? I don't want to live in this place. I want to live in this place. I want to be over here. So that's what we're really aiming for, is we really understand the power of our designs. So this is a quote from the Dalai Lama, which I think is, interesting, in terms of a philosophy and a perspective, right? Man sacrifices his health in order to make money, right? Which is exactly what we end up doing. And then we sacrifice money to recuperate our health because now we're burnt out and fried to the max and depressed and having all these issues, and it's disrupting our life. And then he is so anxious about the future that he doesn't enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future, and lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies never really having lived. So where does that take us? We are in a very important time, which, if you're following human design and following this work, you are probably well aware of this. So we have been in this era of planning for several hundred years, since the mid 1600s. And in that time, like when we talk about background frequency with these are the things that occur over this massive period of time. So it's not like in 1615, suddenly all of this was up and running. No, it was the beginning of it. And over all these hundreds of years now, we've had, this really immense buildup of massive institutions and agreements and this bargain that's at the heart of it. And if you think back, like, again, I've been in business for several decades now, so I can see how things have shifted. And we can all see it, of course, right? How things are changing now and have been these last several years as we head into the new era in 2027. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But over here, this idea of how people came together in these massive institutions to deliver on things really took this sort of, in a sense, a tribal effort, right? To keep coming together and agreeing every single day. Yep, this is what we're going to work on. This is what we're going to deliver. We're going to build this bridge. We're going to do this. We're going to offer this to the world. All of these massive things that have gone on in the world are because of this era of planning. But we are entering a new phase in 2027 and beyond. And again, that'll last several hundred years. And where the focus is going to be on the individual and more about self-empowerment, this abundance of spirit, really understanding our unique gifts and trusting ourselves. Listen, we're still going to come together. It's not like every institution is going to go away. I don't see that happening. We can see how things are falling apart or fracturing in some way. But that is in preparation for the transformation that needs to happen. So what's going to happen here is we're still going to come together in groups, probably not near on the scale that was the case previously, but in order for you to come together effectively with anybody else, you have to know yourself. You have to be making decisions from that place that is correct for you. That is the difference, right? Over here, the government, the organization, our parents, whoever told us what was correct. Over here, it's you need to know what's correct for you because no one's going to save you. No one's going to guide you. You have got to guide yourself, and only you will ever know what feels correct for you, right? Just like I only know what truly feels correct for me. I can try to explain it or share it with other people, but only I can know that true feeling. The workplace continues to change. All these things that we took for granted are just not that way anymore. I mean, again, I'm on an HR team. I actively work with people through my learning and development work. I work with leaders and managers every single day. So I am seeing this in action all the time. A lot is shifting in the workplace. And, you know, it really, again, is just about this massive change in the business landscape. And I can certainly see day to day how disruptive this has become to everybody. So Gallup, releases reports every year. And, a lot of stuff happened, we know, at COVID, right? That kind of kicked off a lot of things. Well, as of 2025, global engagement just continues to fall in every organization, right? We can see it. I see it every single day. I can't tell you how many people I am coaching on a regular basis to say, listen, are you happy here? Are you happy doing what you're doing? If not, just get honest about that. And now begin to move in a direction that's correct for you. Hanging on and gripping on to something that is not correct for you is not going to lead you to success. It just isn't. So we want to, again, move to this place of being more authentic. So employee engagement is definitely on the brink. It continues to drop. And there's just all these things, right, that we can see happening out there in the world. And there's a lot of noise. Every single day, there's a lot of noise, which is why I go back to the comment I just made, right? How are any of us going to see our way through all of this noise? We're going to see the way through the noise by knowing what's correct for us and living from that place and not getting caught up in that noise. So again, lots of changes, in the workplace. Companies keep jumping back and forth. We want you back. No, we'll stay flexible. No, everybody all the time needs to be here, right? I mean, companies are struggling too. Why? Because they're having a hard time getting everybody to function together in the way that they used to. And their misguided approach, and I do believe this is misguided, is thinking, well, if we just make everybody come back into the office, that's going to correct the issue. But at the heart of it, that's not the issue. At the heart of it is people, I think, in the wrong place doing the wrong things. That's what's happening. And no amount of you must do this or you must do that, it's not going to correct that. This is going to keep happening. It's if anything, probably going to get worse. So what do you do? Again, back to this whole thing of knowing your personalized map. And that's where we start in foundations, right? And again, all of my work with professionals and leaders and managers over the years, I know this to be true. If you do not know yourself well and have a high level of self-awareness and understanding, you will be hard pressed to do anything else. Be a consultant, lead others, lead a team, lead a big organization. If you don't know yourself first, it must come there first. So we have a map at BG5, right, that is all about how you rethink things about yourself, how you should work, where you should work, what are your natural gifts, what type of environment are you most likely to succeed in. All of that information is in your design. Now, I will also say this. Of course, out there in the world, everybody all day long is telling you that they can tell you all about this. But what I have noticed, because I'm certainly keeping a close eye on things and I use AI a lot for all kinds of facets of my work. Sure, there's tons of information out there at this point, but it's pretty surface level. Like at this point, I would expect that you would know the basics, right, about your design. But I think where BG5 and where we as consultants stand out is that we go into much more depth, right? I need to be able to look at that design and not just say, oh, I see this, I see this, I see this, I see this. I need to be able to pull it all together and give you this bigger picture and this keynoting and this overall direction about what your design means, and that's in conversation with you, right? So we're also guiding you along the way ultimately in how to coach others and consult others in their designs. That to me is the winning combination, right? It's not enough at this point to just say, well, your son is here and this is there, right? You've got to be able to go much deeper, and we will get you there through study, right? And experience. So BG5 is the official source of the career and business application of the human design system. We maintain and share the original teachings of Ra with the intention that we really are here to help people realize their full potential and financial prosperity. So we train and certify career and business consultants and coaches using this leading edge proprietary system so that we can understand and guide others in their work, career, teams, their organizations, their businesses. And human design actually came up out there in the world by the Washington Post in 2023 as an in trend. And you will have noticed probably that over the last couple of years, there's a lot of human design information all over the place. But I have to say, this is the other reason why, for me, I chose to invest in and study with BG5. Why? Because we are the holders of official source material. There's a lot of liberties being taken and a lot of people possibly out there, just kind of customizing things in their own way. I don't think that's really serving anything. There is something to be said for working from source information and not guessing about what things actually mean. That is very important to me because I feel like it shows integrity. Again, something that's important to me. I've worked with people for so many years now that me bringing my integrity and truth to what I do is absolutely essential. I don't make things up. I don't guess. I am going to really tell you what is in your design, and we're going to have a conversation about what that might mean for you and also what you're looking for. So in foundations, of course, we're starting with the base elements and then we're building on from there. So the goal of BG5 is really about helping you align, helping you learn, and helping you apply this knowledge in a meaningful way. So the key to knowing yourself is understanding who you are and what moves you to inspired action. It's not about following the advice of others, which is and continues to be, and I think is not going to end. That's going to really amp up into 2027, where everybody's going to be out there essentially screaming, follow me, do my thing, do my thing. But that is not what this is. This is about following your inner authority and being your own guide in your life and understanding how you're uniquely designed to succeed. So within BG5 and within the array of different courses and certifications that we offer, we get into your career design chart. Students in my class know that every week I am going into your designs. Every week we spend time in everyone's designs. Why? It goes back to what I shared with you before. I want to be sure that you really understand your design first and foremost. And you're going to also begin to understand other people's designs and hear from them firsthand in how they experience different aspects of their design. That is also incredibly important. Later on, like in certification, you would get into companionship charts. What do things look like when you pull two people's designs together? What does a small group penta look like? And what is the OC16 WA, the whole large group chart, and what's involved in that? Now, we use what we call the 16 success codes. Today in this webinar, I'm specifically going to be looking at codes 1 and 4 and taking a deeper dive in those. But in an overview, we would typically include these ones in the darker blue color here as part of an overview. And then if you were getting a full analysis done, we'd be covering everything through that full analysis. So, if you haven't already commented, if you know your type, please put it in chat and let us know what you are. Are you a builder? In human design terms, that's a generator. So builders, we have classic builders and express builders. So in human design language, generators or manifesting generators. We have advisors, also known as projectors, initiators, known as manifestors, and evaluators, also known as reflectors. One thing I want to point out right here is that again, BG5 being the holder of source information, we are, essentially in partnership, right, as well with IHDS and with Jovian, who also, between all of these organizations is really here about maintaining and getting the source information out into the world. We at the Business Institute, in particular, are responsible for certifying people in this to take it out into the world in business settings. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. It's not that BG5 is some other separate thing, right? This information all still came from Ra, and it was really just about how do we apply this information and use language that's going to resonate for people in a business setting. And that's what drew me to BG5. With all of my business experience, right? It was just the most practical way for me to move forward. So in terms of what makes us all tick and thrive, in a perfect world, initiators get things up and running, advisors guide the process, builders are providing the energy to move it along, and evaluators will tell us how well it's going or not. So these are estimates overall in terms of the percentages. You can always look at the latest and greatest stats over at Rave Statistics. But you can see from this chart that most people in the world are builders. About 70% of people out there are builders. Why? Because we're the ones that have the energy to get things out into the world. But we're doing this in partnership with others, especially when we're working in a correct way. So in terms of how you align and take and consider what you're broadcasting, ease really comes with operating congruent with your design, right? There's flow. There's flow. There's a clear signal. Why? Because I know myself. I know myself and I know how I am looking to communicate with others. So there's this clear signal of communication that can be received and then reflected back. And that for each of the types leads to certain indicators, which we are going to talk more about today. So when you're operating congruent with your design, you naturally attract and see what is correct for you. Now, of course, we have the this and the that always. So there's the whole thing also of being out of alignment. And I'll tell you, these days anymore, I see this all the time. I am coaching people literally on a daily basis to unravel things in the work environment that are just causing chaos and confusion that they may have initiated or that was pushed at them. So now we have static, right? Just this, like, what are you saying? What are you asking me to do? Why are you saying it that way to me? And now we're getting into it. We don't have flow. We have static. And, the thing is about this is more than just, an interesting little image. In life, in reality, this leads to a lot of problems in your day-to-day work environment: anger, frustration, bitterness, disappointment. Now, when we have that whole vibe going on, in a work atmosphere, we're not really doing good work together and we're just all generally sort of miserable with what we're doing. So it's just operating inconsistently. Everything becomes distorted. And it almost seems like what starts happening is we keep attracting things that are not right for us. I just sum this up as saying when this kind of thing is happening and it's just not a little blip, like this is your everyday life, you've got to make a change. It can be scary to make change. I get it. I've had to make a lot of changes in my own career, but every time it led me to a better place. But when you do that from a place of knowing what's right for you, you'll move forward with confidence with those decisions. So I was saying this earlier, the whole thing of attempting to make decisions from our mind is not going to lead you to the right place. It's not. It's our mind is going to remember, hey, remember, this happened before. You don't want that to happen again, do you? Right? So it's all the shadows, emotions, and the whole thing of all the conditioning that is layered into our lives. I mean, there are multiple layers of it. Our family, our friends, our social circles, the work environment, the town you live in, the state you live in, the country you live in, the type of environment overall that you grew up in. All of those things add all of these layers into our mind and our way of thinking. And, this is where it just gets expressed in a way that is not necessarily best for us. Now, the other thing I'll just say right here, even though we're not going to go into this deeply today, but we get into this in foundations. Of course you need your mind. Your mind's important. I use my mind all day long, but it really is about using my mind as an external authority, right? I use my mind to go deeper into my own studies, to bring new techniques into my coaching and my work with people. And I am sharing that information with those that I work with. Otherwise, when you live from your mind, this is what can happen. And again, I've been here. It's not like it doesn't happen. It still happens. We are constantly working in that zone of, okay, what's right for me? And if this isn't right for me, what is it that I need to change? But depending upon how complicated the situation is, right? A relationship, our work, money issues. I mean, it could be anything and so many other things. When we start feeling like this, we definitely feel lost and stuck. And I say it from experience, and I say it because I see it all the time in my work with individuals. So, how do we get unstuck? So, I want to start with the builder energy. Builders have natural generative energy. Builders definitely can go, 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 but I do want to say not endlessly, right? It's not like you don't need any rest. You also still have to take care of yourself and not just put all this energy out there for the things that aren't correct. It's about the quality of how you use your energy that's key. And your satisfaction depends on doing work you love and loving what you do. And the only way to ever be truly satisfied is if you're using your energy in a productive and effective way. So, what I'm sharing with you here are these key indicators. So, for builders, we say when you're on track, you're going to feel satisfied. When you're off track, you're going to feel frustration. Now, what do I mean by that? And what else can I tell you about this? Because I'll tell you, this is what really stood out to me when I first started learning about this information back in 2019. Why? Because it was so easy for me to see, am I on track or am I off track, right? Decision-making strategy is the core component of how we choose the right things for us. And I'm not getting into that here today, but it takes time to connect with that body consciousness. You don't just wake up sort of the next day right after learning this and being like, okay, I got it. You have to keep experimenting. This is not an intellectual activity. This is life. This is you being out there and really living in it. So I was able to notice really quickly, am I feeling satisfied or am I feeling frustrated? And then looking at, well, who, what, when, where, what was bringing the frustration my way? And was it a passing frustration or was it a much more significant frustration? So in terms of keywords, satisfaction looks like flow and ease and accomplishment and joy, momentum and clarity, right? It's all words that really are about feeling right and correct within yourself. In terms of what this looks like, it's feeling energized, having enjoyment in doing the work. When we as builders put our energy into the right thing, time is just sort of flying by and we are immersed in the work we're doing because, right, it's almost like an attraction. Builders are always in response to things around them. So this whole thing of feeling pride and a calm sense of this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing, and this motivation being there because it's correct for you inside. It's correct for you within your body. On the frustration side, this looks like being stuck and blocked and wasting energy, being irritated and impatient and feeling stagnant and stuck and confused and overwhelmed and burnt out. And, this woman in this picture is looking this way here. But, my gosh, if you're feeling this all day long, there are all those other consequences, right? To trying to live from that place. It is not healthy at all to be in that state. And the other thing I will say, and you see some other words down here too, right? Spinning your wheels, being annoyed. Why isn't this working? Feeling like you're pushing. Again, it's just like the flow isn't there. It's just all static. The one thing I will say is that when I started paying attention to this, I immediately realized, listen, it isn't about having this misguided notion that I could be over here 100% of the time. That is unrealistic. Do I get frustrated at times? Yes. Has it diminished significantly from, prior to 6 years? Yes. You know why? Because I understand myself better and I understand what I am really here to do, the types of environments I'm meant to work in, and I'm putting my energy there. So it really ends up, minimizing how much of this is now happening in my life. And I've noticed that just keeps getting better and better and better. When something does frustrate me at this point, it almost like surprises me a little bit. It's like, okay, wait, what's going on here? What is coming up with this? Why am I frustrated? But I can look at it now and be a bit more detached, not lost in it, which is usually what happens here when you're just living from this place every day. So in terms of a quick little classic builder case study, an example here is a thoughtful, driven team member in a mid-sized organization came to Lorraine, one of our consultants. She was feeling unclear about her role and she was overextended and chronically frustrated. So as a classic builder, she developed a habit of saying yes to everything without understanding what was truly aligned. And that is such a common situation for builders. And she was just feeling burnt out, disconnected, and not even knowing what she wanted, what she needed. That is the other thing that most certainly happens when we get lost in frustration. We don't even know what we want anymore. Like we're just so lost in the wrong energy for us. It can be hard to kind of set ourselves straight again. So the solution was Lorraine gave her a career overview session and started with the 6 key focus areas to really help her to connect to her decision-making strategy. And first and foremost, learning how to set boundaries, right? It has to start there. It really, in many ways, is starting simple. If this person or really any of you or any of us can't at first even just understand our own boundaries, when to say yes and when to say no, you're not going to unlock the rest of your design. You're just not, because you're going to keep entering into the things that are incorrect for you. So we always want to start with the basics. And then I have another quick one here for an express builder. The express builders tend to overall move really quickly, often are juggling like a lot of different things. But for this particular person, it seemed that she felt that she was working against her design. She often felt scattered, like unfocused, and also getting burnt out, right? Because now it's like her energy was just all over the place doing everything. By the way, just in general, right, that can happen to builders all the time because people see how much we can handle and they just give us more and more and more and more. And if we don't say no to it or, push back, have a boundary, that's why we end up again in this place, right, where we're just awash in other people's demands and wants and desires and goals, and we've lost sight of our own. So she worked with her client here in this example to help her discover more about her nature of being an express builder, taught her more about her key strength, how to come into right action, and really getting better aligned with timing and the right energy, right? Timing is also, I think, just in general, a significant thing. Now, let's move on to the advisors. Advisors, you don't have generative energy. You're not designed to go, 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 and you're not designed to do all the doing. Your success depends on having energetically healthy people around you who can acknowledge your skills and offer you their energy resource to work with and guide. So, when recognized, you excel at organizing and leading individuals, groups, and systems. Now, let me just say right here, as someone who works with managers and leaders all the time, again, you don't just wake up and you're like, I'm a leader now. No, it takes time, right? You've got to build a mastery at something to actually lead other people. So we got to keep that in mind along the way, how you use your energy and put that towards something that you are also passionate about so that you build depth and mastery in that. And advisors, you've got to rest. My oldest daughter is an advisor, and so is her boyfriend as well. They're both advisors, right? And they can do a lot. They do have some different things defined, including willpower, which brings on a whole different level of energy into the design. But there's also just this recognition that, you got to rest. They cannot go endlessly or they will pay the price for it. How? They'll get sick, they'll get run down, they'll feel disillusioned. I mean, I definitely see it, right? I have to always remind her of that when I see her just constantly go, go, going. So for advisors, on track feels like success. Off track is bitterness. So I put some keywords here for you, feeling appreciated and treasured and recognized and well compensated for whatever gifts you bring. That's success for an advisor. So feeling that they can stand tall in their worth, not feeling like they need to hustle and keep up, feeling deeply seen, and finding success on their own terms. Over here on the bitterness side, it's just feeling unseen, underappreciated, having a lot of self-doubt about your value and your worth, and getting overly focused on productivity. Why? Because you're not being potentially invited to share your mastery and your experience and your knowledge about things. People aren't seeking you out for guidance. So, again, a lot goes into, well, why does this happen? But an advisor in particular can get overly focused on productivity and sort of put all their energy into that, which that's not really the place for the advisor to be. It's not about productivity for an advisor. That's really almost more like builder energy. So in terms of a quick case study here, in this instance, Kelly, an emotional advisor by design, came to Rihanna and was feeling bitter and frustrated and burned out after years in the wrong job. So she felt like her insights were often overlooked. She struggled with being reactive and impulsive in different situations, and she felt ultimately she was wasting her energy on the wrong people and causes and just wasn't really understanding why all of this was happening. So through a career analysis, Rihanna helped her understand her true nature as an advisor, that she's someone who's designed to guide when she's recognized and invited, invited. But again, how do you get recognized and invited when you're an advisor? You also are going to keep working on developing this mastery within yourself. And through that, you are getting recognized and invited. Also helping her to tap into, again, body consciousness, her emotional intelligence, how to wait for clarity, and how to collaborate meaningfully with others. So ultimately, just how to use her energy correctly is what this is all about. Now, let's take a look at an initiator. My younger daughter is an initiator. Again, this is another type that does not have generative energy, not designed to go, 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 not designed to do all the doing, but an incredible gift and ability to act independently, to initiate action, and have a significant impact on other people. A sense of peace when they're doing the right thing in their own time. So they're here to really get things started and get the ball rolling and bring new ideas and concepts and ideas into the world. And then really, in an ideal situation, an initiator is working, with builders and drawing on their specific energy, or even advisors as well, for their ability to direct others, and evaluators too, right? It's really all the other types that they're tapping in to those other energy types to help bring the vision to life for an initiator. So for initiators, for them, on track feels like peace, off track feels like anger. Now, what do we mean by that? For peace, there's, again, flow, minimal resistance. They're dreaming up things. They're pursuing things. They have trust in their ideas. They're doing what they want and when they want. And there's healthy communications with other people. So when an initiator is in good flow, there's a calmness and stillness within them. They feel empowered, in control, but free, and that others are not disrupting their flow. And also, I just want to point out, just like advisors, right, because they're non-energy types, you got to rest as an initiator. I see it in my younger daughter. She can accomplish major things, and she does. And she's only 21. And she just came back after, now, oh my gosh, 9 months of different travel as part of her college experience. But she, even along that way, right, it wasn't about going for 9 months on end. Along the way, she absolutely had to rest and integrate and take time and be in her own space and in her own energy so that she could come back again and bring out those new ideas once again. Off track looks like feeling disempowered, annoyed, others telling an initiator what to do. Not a good idea. I can see this happen with my younger daughter. Not that I annoy her, because I understand her, but I see how other people can absolutely annoy her, and how she might feel like she has to push back against them because they're essentially imposing on her in a way that is absolutely not going to work for an initiator. So she might just start ignoring the person if they're pushing her too hard. But this also then looks like ignoring your own urges and ideas and trying to fit in. Feeling pestered by others and thinking that you have to keep answering their questions, not being in your own creative flow, and just feeling disconnected and unsupported from others. So again, for all the types, right? We are trying to put more over here, less over here. I want to get as much on the on-track side as possible for myself, my girls, my husband, my family, my friends, my clients, everybody I work with, right? To help them see that when you're operating from this correct place, life is just more enjoyable. It really is. All right, a few other bits of information here. For the evaluator, again, no generative energy, not designed to go, not designed to do all the doing. Environment, super important for an evaluator, because they're providing this objective assessment of people, communities, and businesses. They have a very unique perspective, right? Their energy, we would say, is sort of more diffuse and sampling and sort of taking in everything that's around them, which is why the environment matters. There's something to be said about environment for all of us, but for evaluators, it really is important that they're in the right place with the right people. And they're really here to enliven and lift up the energy of others. Now, for evaluators, on track for them is surprise, being off track is disappointment. So this is about being in awe of life, feeling delight and wonder, surrendering to the day, paying attention to what feels most like them, not clinging to labels or just trying to be one thing. The nature of an evaluator is it is ever changing for them. And when a person doesn't understand that about themselves, they could really be bumping up against life in a very, very challenging way. Being over here, constantly trying to figure out who they are, what they should be doing, feeling pressured to be liked or to be like everybody else. But evaluators are not like everyone else. That's the thing. So in, working with evaluators, it's really about helping them understand their true uniqueness in the world and how to live from that place. So I took you through, some high levels here about the underlying mechanics of each of the four major types. So builders, again, are ultimately in response. Advisors are here for recognition and invitation. Initiators are here to inform and be informed. And evaluators are about connecting to everyone and everything in the correct way. A couple of little tips here in terms of when you're interacting with builders. You can do things like ask builders yes, no questions to see immediately how they respond. Sometimes you'll notice sounds coming from the builder like, that kind of thing, like, as soon as I do that. And the thing is, a builder often doesn't hear themselves doing it, but when someone else can notice it and say to them, that sounds like a no. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's a no. So other people can help us recognize that yes or no. Advisors, again, we want to recognize and invite advisors in to any work that we do with them. Initiators, we want to inform even when we are working with initiators, right? I don't come at my daughter with my laundry list of questions for her, right? We are in discussion, and I might be updating her on things or checking on things, but I'm not coming at her with endless questions. And evaluators are here to, again, listen to their unique wisdom. So, in terms of learning more about us, if you haven't already, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. We include case studies and profiles and, information about our classes and just all kinds of things that are going on at the Institute. Get your free report if you haven't done that. If you've never had an actual BG5 career design overview or an analysis, I would highly recommend it. If you sign up for foundations and you do the package, I will do an overview with you. So that's something to consider. I love doing that with everyone. And then, of course, signing up for foundations is a key part. If you are wanting to head down a professional path like myself and many others have done, it really starts with foundations and the 2 semesters of foundations. So this is just a high level look at the curriculum. When you're studying with us, we start with foundations and then you can launch off into different areas from there. If you already know that you desire to become a certified consultant, there's lots of things that you're going to learn how to do. These are examples of all the different types of analyses that you will be capable of charging for and delivering to your clients. Now, just a little bit more about the foundations class. So again, 2 semesters. I'm really in these classes here to help you understand yourself deeply. And also in the process of that, understanding others, right? Like I said, first and foremost, your fellow students in class, you're going to understand their designs and how their lived experience comes to life in their design. You're going to get familiar with the BG5 terminology. If you've been studying human design, but you're interested in moving more onto the business side and understanding the business language, then that's the other thing, right, that we're always focused on. And then, like I said before, it would prepare you for that next step of professional certification if that's the path you are interested in going down. So semester 1, my next semester 1 starts on September 6th. Sean Michael is going to be my assistant. So he is based out of Thailand right now, I believe. And Sean has amazing experience as well. And I know he's going to add a lot of interesting insights to the class. So I'm excited to have him in partnership with me. Again, we meet on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 1400 UTC. And this just shows you the early bird pricing is in effect through August 31st. So for a couple more weeks. In semester one, we are going to be taking that deeper dive into career type, your personal interaction style, your decision-making strategy, key indicators, assimilation, all the functions, and then we start getting into the layers of shadows and distractions. So I can tell you the one thing I've heard from students, that have come through my foundations is that they sort of realize, oh yeah, I came in with this knowledge and I thought I knew this or I thought I knew that, but you showed me a whole other side of it. Like I was saying to you, like even just in this webinar, when I see that someone is really off track, talking to them about advanced aspects, if you even know that, about someone's design is really off the mark. And oftentimes we have got to get a person back to the basics. We got to get ourselves back to the basics and we got to get other people back to the basics. So, it often starts with making the wrong decisions is what leads us into a place that's not right for us. So how do I keep working every day to get tapped in to my decision-making strategy and move confidently in my life with my decisions? Semester two will start then in January. So just to hop back up here. So semester one goes through November 8th and then essentially through the rest of November and December. With the holidays in the US, we take a break from classes and then we'll start back up in later January, and then we'll go through the end of March to finish out the foundations experience. And in semester two, we get into the 3 themes. That is about circuitry. So taking a dive into all of the circuitry and what that means for a person's design. We look at the 36 strengths and the gifts that we bring to the world, and how those break down into 64 individual traits. And then we take a look at the 6 qualities and the 12 public roles, right? And how those come into play. You'll do 2 projects along the way as well. A project for semester 1, a project for semester 2 that I'm giving you feedback on. And again, we have lots of practice in classes. Not only am I taking you, into the material and into your own design and the other students' designs, but I'm putting you into breakouts. You're learning from each other. You're forging relationships with other people. All of those things, are important, right, to your entire experience. There is a package deal available for foundations if you know what, this is the path I want to go down. So that includes then the course fees for semester 1 and semester 2. You get a code for a complete report. If you already have one, you can use that code for to pull someone else's report. You get access to a self-paced emotional intelligence self-study. And then I do that one-on-one with you, a 90-minute one-on-one. And believe me, I pack a lot into my 90-minute one-on-one. So you'll get a lot out of that session, and we'll go in different directions in that session as well. So you're always welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions. Contact me directly. You can also email the BG5 Business Institute office if you just have general questions. And otherwise, I hope to see you at an upcoming foundation course. And thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna stop my share. And Sarah, just want to check in with you and see if there's anything else I might be able to answer here today.
I don't have any questions, but if anyone has questions, you feel free to put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we can allow you to talk, share your screen so that we can assist you. So let us know if you need anything, just raise that hand or put a question in the chat. And if you don't have anything, you're free to sign off. Thank you, Nanette. Yeah, it was so good to see you here.
All right. Thank you, Nanette. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. And I hope to see you in Foundations. And I'll hang on for a moment just in case there are any other questions.
This was a really good group of participants. They were engaged and present the whole time. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
All right. I don't see anything coming through, Sarah.
Yeah, Christina or Michelle, or is it Gaudi? I hope I'm saying your name right. If you have any questions, let us know. Raise your hand. I'll give you a couple seconds.